Red Polly.
Dusty.
Blue Poncho.
Tupac.
Street.
Hey, Wilson Hoosier. Hey, Elvis.
Dre.
Go.
All right, everyone. Hey, welcome to Health Matters. This is episode 20. We got the wild card wrap-up. Wild card, particularly wild. And we got the divisional preview. Well, guess what? We're coming to you from Vail, Colorado. Got some more snow for you. Come on up and ski. But health matters. And here at the Predictors, we're showing how it counts. Take it away, Brandon.
Yeah, it was kind of an exciting weekend. A bunch of blowout games, if that's what you like, some offense there. A few injuries we'll touch on, but we're going to start off with each game, go through them, and let you know how they looked coming out. So we got the Browns versus the Texans first. Tyler, how about this one?
Yeah, I'd say one of the biggest storylines coming out of this upset. Texans beat the Browns, but lost Noah Brown. He went out with a shoulder injury, has now been placed on injured reserve, meaning he's obviously out for the rest of the season. They're already missing Tank Dell, so this is a big shot to a wide receiver core when they go and play the Ravens this week.
Yeah, Tyler, hard to say. I mean, we don't know exactly what this is. We haven't got the MRI or other data. There's only a few season-ending shoulder injuries, though, to be honest, and that's shoulder dislocation with a fracture or subluxation with a fracture. If you can't keep the shoulder in place with recurrent dislocations, potentially a fracture of the collarbone or AC joint area, but usually it's some type of fracture, recurrent instability that can't be managed. There's a lot of things around the shoulder. You can wait till the end of the season. So, Houston clearly making a call that, this guy, Brown is not going to be able to make it with his shoulder, season ending, serious enough. The good news is we'll see him back next year for most of these season ending shoulder injuries.
Yeah, this was a fun game. We talked about last week Flacco sitting the last week and seeing if he's going to be rusty, and he looked like the rookie in this one, while Stroud looked like the guy to be beating the playoffs, huh, Tyler? What'd you think? You liked his play?
Yeah, I mean, C.J. Stroud's been great all year long. For a rookie to bring his team, especially the Texans, for where they've come from to where they are now, he's done a fantastic job. Can't be more on the Stroud wagon right now, I guess is the best way to put it. I know he's definitely up there for Rookie of the Year, along with Puka Nacua and some others, but he's done a fantastic job with this team.
Yeah. Ryan, the Ravens, that's their next opponent. That's a tough one. They're coming off a week of getting healthy. What do you think's going to happen with them with the no offensive powers besides Stroud with everybody else out? The Ravens are going to come in there and surprise them?
It's going to be a good game. I mean, the Ravens right now, they're a healthier team. They had the bye. That's going to help them a lot. And Houston, I mean, they played – C.J. Stroud played really good last week. But is he going to be able to perform the same against that Ravens defense? I don't know. The Ravens are a healthy team. They got a good defense, solid defense, and Lamar Jackson, I mean, he's up for the MVP candidate. He can run over that Houston defense pretty good.
Yeah, so Boston Ryan, here's the deal. You got a team that's resting like the Ravens, all right? Their health score, banged up score is going up. It's pretty good to start with, as you said. But you got the health side, but then you got the mental side and the wait and see side while you take a week off. And we've seen many Super Bowl champions that have come from the 6th seed, the 4th seed, 3rd seed, not the 1st or even now 2nd seed this year. What are your thoughts on that?
A lot of times when you're good in the regular season, doesn't always translate into the postseason. I just saw a stat, I think ESPN posted that all the teams that have started 10-1 or 11-0 for the first 11 games of the season haven't won a single playoff game in the last, I think 10 years it was. But the last 3 teams, Patriots and the Eagles, both went 10-1, 11-0 and ended up losing. I think a lot of times they just get a little cocky throughout the regular season and just can't hold it down when they need to.
Yeah, speaking of those Eagles, that Eagles-Bucks game, we'll preview that one next, man. The Bucks came in there, and they looked like the team that won 11 straight this year versus the Eagles, right, Ty?
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles were already at a disadvantage, missing A.J. Brown. Obviously, they've been on that slip for the last part of the second half of the regular season. And the Bucks, Baker Mayfield had a couple incentives to get there. I was a little bit surprised that Mike Evans wasn't involved as much, but didn't matter. The Bucks came through and got that upset win.
Yeah, and the Bucks came out healthy too. Their injury report's looking fairly clean coming into their matchup versus the Lions.
I'll tell you what, Brandon, I mean, Philly got pretty beat up in that game. It's kind of good they're going to the offseason because it would not even look any prettier next weekend, Eagles fans. I'm sorry to say that. You got Darius Slay carted off the field, Julio Jones, concussion protocol, A.J. Brown out with a knee. I mean, you had some issues. You had banged up score going in and a worse banged up score going out. So got to get some health over the offseason, Eagles.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and they're going to be playing the Lions, and the Lions, they look just as good in their game. They came in on that Rams team, Jared Goff and Matt Stafford. We talked about that a lot last week on the media coverage and the revenge game and all that, and it looked like Jared Goff was the guy there to play.
Yeah, Jared Goff had an unreal game. He played phenomenal, and he's got the whole city of Detroit surrounding him now. They're all rallying behind him. But fortunately for Detroit, they have Sam LaPorta finally getting over that hump with that hyperextension bone bruise, knee injury. Doc, do you think he's going to be all right for this upcoming game? Do you think he's going to perform well? I mean, he came in, caught a touchdown in that game, even though he was playing a little bit injured.
Yeah, Boston Ryan, he's going to be fine. We'll see Sam LaPorta out there. He's not going to have an issue. We already saw it last weekend. He might have been playing a little bit of adrenaline through this hyperextension bone bruise. I'll tell you what, bone bruise, especially when you see it on an MRI and the tibia or the femur in the knee, they hurt. And, playing through that, kudos to Sam for getting through that. But it gets exponentially better every day. And I think he's going to have a great game this coming divisional round.
Definitely. Tyler, I've been following the Lions pretty close all year with their injuries, and they've been in and out of that banged up score and the injuries. And they came out pretty healthy on this one. They looked like a full squad this weekend. How you like them versus the Bucs?
Yeah, I think they can. I think they'll beat the Bucs. They're a strong team, like you said. The injuries kind of up and down, but came out pretty unscathed from this game. This was probably the best game of the weekend, to be honest. The Rams Detroit game, closest game anyway. Obviously, with the 1 point difference, and the Rams, they had a lot of in-game injuries, right? I mean, we looked at Puka, Matthew Stafford, Kyron. All those guys got injured in game, and they were able to return, but weren't playing at full. Detroit, lucky to get out of there with really probably just some bumps and bruises. And, Bucs they're trending up, but I think Detroit might be that wall that stops them.
Yeah, Doc, one of the guys we were texting about over the weekend was Tyler Higbee, that Rams tight end, man. He took that huge hit to that knee. That kind of went low on him there. Yeah. It's kind of devastating to see. What are you thinking on that thing?
Yeah, 100%, Brandon. That was a tough injury to see. Obviously, that the knee with the classic ACL plus mechanism, as I say, also not just ACL, but other things around the knee. And we look here, we got the ACL inside the joint right here. But we also look at MCL, we look at meniscus with this type of injury, and also the capsule. So going to need 9 months for them to get back. I think maybe a little less, so might start the season on IR for Rams fans. But keep an eye on him, and we'll see him back next season. And certainly Rams are probably poised to make another playoff run, and he'll be coming back towards the end of that season in 24-25.
And I just got a notification also that confirmed that Tyler Higbee tore his ACL as well as his MCL. From that.
There you go.
There's the ACL plus right there.
Yeah, ACL plus. And again, energy counts. Health matters. Check it out at the Predictors. We'll keep you all updated.
Yeah. Let's move on to another NFC game everyone was shocked about, the Packers and the Cowboys. How about them Cowboys, guys?
Pack.
Tyler, break that one down.
God, what a crap show is going on in Dallas right now. Everyone, I don't know who to blame. Is it the coach? Is it Dak Prescott? Is it Jerry Jones? Something needs to change there. I mean, this is a team who looked like they were on fire. And then every single year, if you are a Dallas fan, I'm sorry, every single year, they just blow it in the playoffs. I mean, you can't get your hopes up. They screw it up. Green Bay wasn't even playing at, full strength, I guess you could say. I mean, Christian Watson was dealing with a hamstring injury. You had Jair Alexander out there with a shoulder and ankle injury. A.J. Dillon wasn't even playing. Aaron Jones obviously put the team on his back a little bit, and Romeo Doubs out there. And Jordan Love, just playing out of his mind. But
who's Jordan Love? Yeah, this guy, man, he looks like playoff expert in that game.
But unbelievable.
I'll tell you what, Cowboys fans, look, you're the top 5 worst teams in terms of winning the title. It's just every year continues to slip. You got great talent. I mean, you got CD Lamb was basically a non-factor that game. Dak, I don't know what he was doing that game. Kudos to the Pack. I mean, they showed up. Their D was amazing again and again and again, and the defensive plan absolutely stellar and shut them down. So we got some Green Bay issues, right, on the health side, guys. What do we got, Brandon?
Yeah, so we got Christian Watson and Jair Alexander, the hamstring and the ankle, respectively. They're both going to be questionable. Alexander had that pick early, and the next thing you know, he got hurt. That's going to be a big miss for them. He's been kind of in and out all year, but he's definitely a leader on that defense. So,
yeah, they're gonna need him. Hopefully, he can get back. Divisional, I might limit his load a little bit, but it's a big game for the Pack in San Francisco. Hopefully, the weather holds. Maybe it's a little bit warm for there. I mean, obviously, playing indoors helps for the hamstrings, but hopefully, it's warm enough and good weather for San Francisco to keep those hammies warm.
Definitely, yeah. And then they're calling Jair's ankle maintenance week. Tyler, what all goes into the ankle maintenance this week for him?
Yeah, I think they're going to try to calm it down a little bit. You want to make sure that you give him the rest that he needs. You get the swelling down, and then you work on the little muscles around. You work on stability. You work on proprioception, and then you make sure that you take care of it if he is out at practice. If he is doing the things in the weight room and stuff, you make sure that either it's taped, either it's braced, that and everything around it is strong so that he's ready to play in the game. His position is a tough position. Honestly, probably one of the toughest positions in football at cornerback. You have to keep up with the wide receivers. You have to cut with them. You don't know what route they're running. So very tough position. So I think they'll make sure that they can do everything to calm that ankle down so that he's ready to go in the game. And so I think they'll
definitely. And then another big miss is going to be A.J. Dillon in doubt again this week with a nagging neck injury. So, if they keep going, maybe he can get back. But didn't seem like they needed him this past week. So let's flip to that Dallas side. We got their starting cornerback, the big guy they signed, Stephon Gilmore. He's played with a shoulder injury all year. Now he's going to be having off-season surgery for some instability. Doc, what goes into that?
Yeah, usually the instability situation is when the shoulder partially comes out or it dislocates. Many times you can play through that with the season. What you tear is the labrum, which is a ring that goes around the socket of the shoulder joint here. And generally that's repaired with a combination of anchors. A lot of times it's what we call minimally invasive or arthroscopic. Sometimes we do an open approach on it as well, or even some bone grafting if there's a bigger injury to the shoulder. But in general, you come back really well after these. It just takes about 5 to 6 months to start trusting your shoulder. So Dallas fans, you'll see Stephon back. He'll be solid.
And then going back to that Green Bay side, one of their edge rushers, Kingsley and Egbear, he ended up tearing his ACL in that game. Just tough for him, tough timing for that.
Yeah, the Pack played hard. I mean, they know they had to go after it, but they're going to be beat up a little bit. We'll get their banged up score. Check it out, the Predictors. It's going to be important, Packers fans. Let's check into it.
Okay, let's move back on to the AFC. The Chiefs-Dolphins. Tyler, you kind of predicted this one a little bit with that snowy, cold game. Tell us about this one.
Yeah, I think a lot of people saw this coming. The Dolphins haven't really beaten great teams this whole season, and when they've come up against a team who had a really good record, they haven't been able to win. And then, you take a team from South Florida and bring them to I think it was the 4th coldest game in NFL playoff history over there in Kansas City. You're just not going to have good results. Kansas City, they're used to it. They've played in it before. I mean, maybe not -4, which is what I think it was when the game started, but cold games in general. Tyreek,
at least living there.
Yeah, Tyreek, he's a little bit used to it, having played in Kansas City for a while, but this was bound to happen. I think people knew it was going to happen. Kansas City Chiefs, they're still in this. They didn't look like the team they've been in the past years with all the wide receivers drops, but here we are again. They're going to face the Bills. I do think that Josh Allen needs to beat Kansas City or it tarnishes his reputation a little bit. I mean, he's lost to Kansas City a lot in the playoffs, and I really think he needs this win.
Yeah, KC came out fairly healthy too. I mean, they have 2 defensive guys that, got a little banged up and they're questionable this week, but we'll know day to day on if they're back. But that's not much missing. They have a pretty deep defense, so I think that won't hurt them too bad. So I think looking at them, moving over to the Bills Steelers though, man, the Bills came out and in that postponed game where the weather actually looked great. So I guess postponing it was pretty good idea. But they have 8 players listed on their injury report right now that are day-to-day, 6 of them on defense alone. So what are we looking at for the Bills, guys?
Yeah, I think a lot of these are kind of some nagging injuries, Brandon. Most of these guys will be back. Gabe Davis was out with a knee injury for the game. He's going to be day-to-day this week. We'll probably see him back, might have some load management. Bernard carted off with an ankle injury. Probably day-to-day. The x-rays, I think, were negative, guys.
Yeah, negative x-rays. MRI, it was yesterday. Yeah. We're still waiting on that to come out.
So we'll see if that's low versus high. Mechanism looked kind of in between, but that's usually a several-week injury. So that's a big loss if Bernard can't play divisional. It's usually 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm not sure we're going to see him. If we see him, I don't think he's going to be up to form.
I will say something to watch is Sam Martin, their punter, had a hamstring injury, so they have to bring in their old punter. So this could be something that, when they haven't played in a while or played with that team in a while, special teams could be a difference maker.
Yeah. That was kind of a chuckle play too, man. They blocked that kick, and next thing you know, you see some one-legged dude hopping down there trying to get it. It's like, oh, man.
And he had the hand warmer in his hand the entire time. He would not let that thing go.
So that was kind of, seeing the punter pull a hammy running down a block kick isn't always the best.
Probably the first time he sprinted in a long time, and in that cold definitely did not help him.
So a lot of pressure on that offense for Josh Allen, especially with the defense being down to try to keep up with the Chiefs. So we'll see what the weather's going to be like in that one. Maybe.
What about Pittsburgh, guys? I mean, they quote unquote limped in. I mean, they limped in health wise, limped in record wise, limped in because of all the AFC drama in Week 18 with Jacksonville and everything else. I mean, they just, Pittsburgh limped in. They didn't. That wasn't them. They didn't belong.
No, not at all.
After the game, Mike Tomlin, he's getting asked all these questions, walking out of the presser, and today he announces he's going to come back and coach next year. So he's limping back into his job as well.
Yeah, I'm glad he made that decision. It's excellent.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get overshadowed by Belichick and Carroll also leaving.
Yeah. So guys, that's kind of the preview. That's reviewing the games, looking ahead. We gave you our opinions on that stuff and some of the injury data.
Tyler, what do you got? Give me the games rundown. Who's taking the divisionals?
Ooh, all right. Let's see here. This is a good question. I think I'm going to pull I think I'll take the Ravens over the Texans. I think that's a no-brainer, especially with the Texans wide receiver core. I'm going to
definitely agree with that.
I'm going to take the 49ers too. I think Green Bay did great taking on the Cowboys, but I don't think they do it again. I think they had some amazing games by Aaron Jones and Romeo Doubs. I don't think that they show up again. I am going to take the Bills over the Chiefs, even with the injuries. I think the Bills. I think Josh Allen just wants it more. I think he needs it more than anything. So I'm going to take the Bills over the Chiefs.
Revenge.
That's right.
One and done last year.
And I'll take the Lions over the Bucks as well. The Bucks. That's a hard one for me, actually. I think that's going to be closer than people think, but I think the Lions pull it out. How about you?
Oh, look, the Lions and Texans. Everybody wants Lions-Texans Super Bowl. We got to ride the wave.
You've been pretty good this season, Tyler. I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes, but I don't know. We got some other storylines we're watching here, Brandon, huh?
Yeah. Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll both gone, but it looks like Bill's on his interview tour right now, huh? The Falcons looking at him.
Just spent 3.5 hours talking with the Falcons. Doc, I know you've talked to Belichick before. Your interview was 4 hours with him. I mean, what do you think went into that interview with the Falcons? Does he just go in there like, hey, I'm the greatest coach ever? Like, just here I am. You already know this. Like, how's that go?
No, I mean, it's not like the press interview when you're, internally trying to figure things out with Bill. He's got an incredible mind. I'm convinced, a photographic memory, and he's got process. He's done this before. He can do it in his sleep. He hasn't changed teams in a long time, so I'm sure there were a lot of questions about that and how he'd handle things and how he'd answer, those questions. Look, how to coach a team, how to set up offense, defense, the X's and O's, it's probably not a lot of the questions. It's more about personnel and GM and draft and strategy and big picture stuff, how you manage things, people management, HR. I mean, all that kind of stuff is super important, for head coach, because that's what the players need. They need a head coach they can respect. Obviously, Bill's got incredible respect in the league, and you just have to, let the process work out. So I'm surprised it wasn't all day. To go through all this stuff.
Definitely, yeah. Tyler, it's been a trend of hiring younger coaches. Bill's age, does that play a factor in this?
It's funny you mentioned that. I was literally just about to ask Doc the same question. I think it does, because you don't want to be looking for another head coach 3-4 years from now if you can help it, right? Obviously, it happens. Coaches don't pan out the way teams want to, and they end up, in this cycle. But I think his age does play a role, because how long is he going to coach? It may not be. He may do fantastic for whichever team he ends up at, but is he going to be overcoaching in 3 or 4 years? And then you're back to square one. You're trying to bring in all new personnel and do all that. So I do think it plays a role. Just like Saban said, it played a role in his leaving Alabama. People wanted assurances that he couldn't give. Of course, his was more with recruiting, that he'd be there through the whole thing. I think you have the same thing with Bill.
Yeah, I mean, Boston Ryan brings up a good point. Tyler brings up, got a few years, and Jerry Jones got a few years. You were talking about this yesterday. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, does he really want to coach till he dies, essentially? Does he just want to get that record? I feel like that's just conversations he has to be having with Arthur Blank if he interviews with Jerry Jones. Those are the conversations that he'll have to have, because obviously, as I feel like we all know, it just seems like he wants to break Don Shula's record and have that all-time win record. But
the Cowboys super interesting, though. I mean, they could, they want to make a splash. Jerry wants to make a splash. They haven't made any moves yet with McCarthy, but I'll have to see. I'm not convinced that there's not changes coming in Dallas, but we'll see. Atlanta, you got Antonio Pierce, the Raiders staying. Players loved him. We got a lot of endorsements. What else we got, Brandon? We got
Jim Harbaugh, my buddy Jim. Is he going to leave Michigan or not? Man, he's been there a long time. He doesn't like the NCAA or the rules.
That's pretty clear. Yeah,
I think he likes the sunny San Diego, LA area. What are you thinking? Is Jim going to go?
Yeah, I think he's accomplished what he wanted to do in the NCAA. I mean, he's up for challenges. He likes it, and it's he wants to join his brother.
He interviewed with Atlanta.
He's been able to accomplish a lot.
Yeah, that's good.
He's not going to interview with the Raiders, huh? Or is he? What do you think? They're going to stick with Pierce?
Yeah, I think they'll stick with Pierce. Interesting, though, because he said something about black being his favorite color, trying to allude to the Raiders more than anything. But then the Raiders came out and said Antonio Pierce seems to be the front runner there. So it'd be interesting.
Got it. And good. And just another little note, guys, check out some NCAA news. It's been kind of a crazy coaching carousel year. And some of these guys, JJ McCarthy's coming out. He might be going where Jim goes. So that's something to watch out as well. So just some cool NCAA news. Just check out some of that. If you want to follow football and get ready for NFL, you'll see the guys coming up.
Yeah, check it out at thepredictors.com. A lot of coaching carousel, a lot of changes. January is a particularly exciting month, obviously, in the NFL, the NCAA, post-playoffs, a lot of changes. Everyone's always looking to the future, but we got some great games coming up. Check it out at thepredictors.com. We keep everything updated. Enjoy the divisionals.